All right, let's see what's on the quiz. So I got about 22 minutes to go over this. So number one on the quiz is going to look something like this. The questions are going to look exactly the same, except the numbers, I shouldn't say exactly the same, very similar to each other, except the numbers are just going to be different, that's all right? So here's what the first thing says. It says find the measure of the central angle of a regular decagon. Regular decagon. Decagon. Now look, you don't have to draw a whole entire decagon here. I'm going to because it's super easy for me because all I got to do is change this. How many sides does a decagon have, by the way? 10. All right, so there's a regular decagon. That's a lot easier for me since I got this computer program than it would be for you. But really, all you need to do is think about how to find the central angle. Well, it's close. It's not 10 divided by 360. What is it? 360 divided by 10. You got it. And that's all there is to it. But I'm just going to demonstrate why. So here's a central angle, and I want you to find that central angle. All I tell you is there's 10 sides, okay? And it's regular. It means all the angles are equal, all the sides are equal. So, again, you don't have to draw it, okay? You can do this super easy, but I'm just showing you where it comes from. I want to find this one angle right here. Well, how many of these angles, these central angles, are there on this thing? There's 10 of them. What do all the angles add up to be? It goes around in a circle, right? So 360. So everything adds up to 360. I got 10 of them, so what do? I divide it evenly by 10, and look at this. You don't even need a calculator to do this, do you? What can you do here? Zeros cancel, correct? And what are you left with? Just a 36, so 36 degrees. So that's how many degrees that angle is right there. That's 36 degrees. Pretty easy. I won't be giving you a decagon on the quiz, but you should be able to do it with any figure, all right? You just take 360, divide it by how many sides there are, and you got your central angle. This one, you didn't really need a calculator. You may on the quiz for that one, but shouldn't be that big of a deal, okay? All right. Number two, we're finding area. That's what this chapter is all about, is finding the area. So number two, you're just finding the area of a triangle. And it's a equilateral triangle or a regular triangle. Okay, so we have a formula for that. Do you remember the formula that we used? 1/2 the apothem, do you remember that? Times the perimeter. So you're going to use this formula on all three of these problems, these next three problems right there. So it's really important that you remember that. Write it down somewhere. Be ready for it. And let's do the first one. So, again, I got this thing. So oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a polygon. There we go. And let's make this three-sided. There we go. So we got a, and they draw it for you in the book. You don't have to draw it. I want to put it right here. And here's what they give you. They give you that this is 15.7. They give you the apothem, which is nice, which is right here. And they tell you that is 5. And now they ask you for the area of the triangle. So they say, find the area. And that's basically what this quiz is all about. Number one, you didn't have to find the area, but that's something you might need to do later on in the quiz, is to find the central angle. But this one, you're finding the area. Normally, we would go base times height divided by 2, correct? All right, but this would be the base, okay? So that is 15.7. So is this. Problem is finding the height, okay? It would be almost impossible for you to find the height of this. But they do tell you this thing. What is this thing right here? It's the apothem. How do I know it's the apothem? Because it goes from the, what? The center perpendicular to one of the sides, okay? It could have gone to here, it could have gone to here. They just drew it to here. So that's your apothem. So you're basically ready to solve this thing. So how do I find the area of it? Well, it's 1/2 times A, which is the apothem. What's the apothem? It's 5 times the perimeter. Now, how do I find the perimeter of it? Is it just 15.7? Times 3. Very good. It's 15.7 times 3. That's the perimeter right here. Okay? That's the perimeter. Everybody see that? Because if I add up all three of those, okay, I get the perimeter. Or I take one of them, multiply it by 3, and that's the perimeter. Now, what do I do now with all that mess? Put all that where? Into a calculator, okay? So 1/2 is just 0.5, so I'm going to go 0.5 times 5 times 15.7 times 3. You do that on a calculator, and you get 117.8. This was all in feet, so your answer is going to be what? Feet squared. So that's how you do it. Doesn't get a whole lot easier on these type of problems than what we just did right there. Okay, they gave you the apothem, they gave you one of the sides, you had to figure out all three of them, which means you just multiply it by 3, and then you multiply all that stuff together, and bam, you get that. Try that yourself on your own calculator. Make sure you know how to put that into a calculator. Okay, just because you have a calculator doesn't mean you're doing it right. Okay, make sure that you put it in correctly into your calculator. Your calculator is not going to make a mistake, but you could make a mistake. So make sure you know how to do that. All right, let's move on. Number 3. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a 8-sided. So let's change this to 8. Again, I give you the picture on the quiz. And let's see what they give you here. So here's the center. Again, they give you an apothem. That was nice. So really, this one's not much different. It's almost a waste of time to do this one because we kind of already did it. This is 36. This is 27. And they ask you to find the area. All right, so how do I find the area of something like this? Well, it's what? 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. So let's put the 1/2 right there. What's the apothem in this? It's 36. And what's the perimeter? Well, one side is 27. How many sides do you have on this thing? You got 8 of them. So you go 27 times 8. And then what do we do with all those numbers? Multiply them all together in a what? In a calculator. This is in centimeters. I didn't write that in there. Everything's in centimeters, so my area is what? Centimeters squared. And there you go. How did I get from here to here? I used a calculator. Okay, I'm not going to do it for you. You can do that yourself. 1/2 or 0.5 times 36 times 27 times 8. Very, very easy to put in your calculator, and that's the answer you would get for that. All right, let's jump. Since we're I'm running out of time already, so let's jump to this. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a hexagon. So let's draw a hexagon. All right. So this one's a little bit tougher, okay? Because on this one, they don't give you... Now, number 4 I skipped, okay? It's very similar to 2 and 3, so you can figure that out. So what do they tell you here? They tell you one of the sides, but the problem is they don't tell you what? The apothem, all right? So we're going to have to figure it out. That's where all the work comes in, okay? Finding the area, if you know the apothem in one of the sides, it's not hard at all. But finding the apothem sometimes can be difficult. Do you remember our very first question on this quiz? Find the what? What was the first question on this quiz? Find the what angle? the central angle. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here, okay? Because I want to find the apothem. So let's draw the apothem. Here's the apothem. I'll keep it red like I did the other ones. So how in the world am I going to find that right there? Let's see what else they tell you. That's it. That's all they tell you. Okay? They just tell you that. So, look. What's the length of that whole side right there? That's 6. So what's the length from here to here? That's going to be 3. Okay, put a right triangle. What I need to do now is find this angle. I need to find this little angle right here. So I'm going to find the whole central angle. How do I find the whole central angle? How do I find this whole angle right there? 360 divided by 6, which is 60 degrees, right? 6 goes into 36, 6, and then the 0, 60. So the whole thing is 60 degrees, but I'm not really going to use the whole thing. I'm just going to use that little angle right there. So what's that little angle right there if the whole thing is 60? It's 30, right? So this, what kind of triangle do I have? This is a 30. What's this angle down here? A 30, 60, 90 triangle, all right? So look what they gave you. Well, we figured it out, but this side right here is the short side, and it's 3. Everybody see that? So I want to find this side, which is the longer side. Do you remember our 30, 60, 90 triangle stuff? What's the long side equal to? The square root of 3 times what? The short side. That's something you got to remember. Something we studied in this chapter, I believe. Okay, we did it in this chapter. Right? And why do we do this in this chapter? It's not even area. We did it so we can find the area of this thing. So, what's the long side? The long side is the apothem, isn't it? Okay, do I know the short side? Yeah, it's 3. So, the long side, which is the apothem, I'll call it A for apothem, is equal to the square root of 3 times the short side. What's the short side? Is just 3. So, the apothem is 3 times the square root of 3. That was the bulk of the work on this problem right there. All right? I'm recording it. You can go back, slow it down, take it little bit by little bit. All right? But that's your apothem. So now to find the area, it should be pretty easy now once I got the apothem. So what's the area? It's 1/2. The apothem, what's the apothem? 3 times the square root of 3 times the perimeter. How do I find the perimeter of this? Well, it's 6 times, how many sides do I have? I got 6 of them, right? So it's 6 times 6, 36. So what am I going to do with that number right there? With all these numbers? Put it into a calculator, okay? So just use 0.5 for 1/2. So 0.5 times 3 times the square root of 3 times 6 times 6. And when you do all that, you should get 93.5. I didn't tell you this, but that's in meters, so this is going to be meters squared. Try that on your calculator, okay? You need to practice using your calculator. Make sure you get this number right here if you put those numbers in your calculator. Make sure you practice that. Okay? All right, let's keep going. I think that was all section 7.5. Now we're doing the 7.6 stuff we just went over on the homework. Let's see. Number 6. They asked to find the circumference. Again, you need to know the formula. Find, I'll just put C. Is that all right? For circumference. Do we know a formula? We should. We just talked about it before we started recording when we went over the homework. What's the circumference of a circle? 2 pi r. You got to know that. Memorize it. Know it for the quiz tomorrow. All right, because number 6, you're going to have to know that formula. Now, they tell you a couple things. They don't even draw a picture for you, but they do tell you that the radius is 10. So they tell you that the radius is 10. So it should be very easy. This should be a very easy one for you if you know the formula. You got to know that formula right there. If you don't know that formula, you're sunk. So what is it? It's 2 times pi times the radius. What is the radius? It's 10 because they gave it to me as 10. So you could write circumference. I can go watch. 2 times 10 is 20, and I could just go 20 pi. If you wanted to leave it, actually don't leave it like that, because I tell you to round to the what? Nearest tenth. Okay? So don't leave it like this, because I want you to get a decimal. And it says round all your answers to the nearest tenth. So we'll put that into a calculator. Put that into a calculator. Use 3.14 for pi. Don't use the whole pi button on your calculator. And you get 62.8. This was in inches. Always keep forgetting. So this is in inches. It's not inches squared, though, is it? It's just inches, because you're just finding the distance around a circle. So it's just inches. So that should be very, very easy if you know that formula. All right. Let's do another one that's almost as easy as that one. Find the area. This time we're finding the area of a circle. So what's the formula for area of a circle? No, it's not 2. That was circumference. Pi what? R squared. You got to know it. You guys are making me a little nervous because we just talked about that earlier in this class. Okay? We even wrote it down. So area is equal to pi r squared. You got to know it. You got to know circumference, 2 pi r, and you got to know area, pi r squared. Okay? And you got to know this area, 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. Okay? But these are circles. These two are circles. All right? So those are your formulas for the circle. You got to know it. I don't know what else to do for you. You have to study it. You got to memorize it. You have to know that the area is equal to pi r squared. So what do they give you here? Oh, it's the same circle. Radius is 10. Actually, they give it to you in feet this time. So it's quite a bit bigger than the other circle, but it's still the same number. So what do we do with that? Well, you put it in here. It's pi times radius squared. What's the radius? 10. And what are you going to do with that radius? You're going to square it. That's different than multiplying it by 2. So this is pi. What's 10 squared in your head? It's 100. All right? If you want to write it a little nicer, you could write 100 pi. Normally, I would let you keep that answer, but this quiz says to put it into a calculator and get a decimal. So I'm going to put it into a calculator. You could probably do it in your head, couldn't you? 3.14 times 100. How would you do this in your head without a calculator? Just move this decimal 2 places. So what are you going to get? 314. And it's what? Feet. And it is area this time, so it's feet what? Squared. All right, so that's how you do it. If you wanted to put that into a calculator, that's fine, but I'm just showing you. You could have done that very easily without a calculator. All right, here's the last 3. And this is what we just recently have been doing. Just recently. It was what, yesterday? Yeah, that's pretty recent. We just went over it yesterday, so we're having a quiz on it already. How about that? Watch this. What if I gave you this central angle right here, and I asked you to find the area of this sector? Okay, this is called a sector. Remember that? That whole section of that thing right there, that's a sector. The central angle, I'll just put a little arrow there since I filled it all in. That's a 78. All right, so the central angle is 78 degrees, and the radius is 3. Okay? So, could you find the area of the sector? Do you remember how to do that? Remember, we're only finding a portion of this circle, correct? So we're only finding 78 degrees out of the whole circle. What's the whole circle? 360. So we're doing 78 out of or divided by 360. Okay? But what's left over? We're finding area, and it's area of a circle. It's what? Pi r squared. What's my r? What's my radius? It's 3. And squared. So now you put that in your calculator and you get an answer. I got 6.1 when I did it. Okay, and that's centimeters. Area, again, and it's centimeters squared. So that's the area of the what? Sector. Everybody see that? Write it down. It's on the video. So watch the video again if you still didn't quite get it. I'm going to get rid of all this shading in stuff. And I'm going to do something else. So I'm going to do this. Do you remember this? They actually split this up. You're eventually going to find the area of this. What do we call this part right here? Not the sector, but the segment, okay, of the circle. So we're eventually going to find that. But what do we have to do first? We're going to have to find the area of the triangle. Do you agree? So let's just shade it in yellow. I'm showing you exactly on the quiz. There's just, you're going to have, everything that I'm doing is exactly from the quiz. It's just the numbers are different. Okay, so you're not going to have any more of these or less of these. You're going to have exactly these right here. So how do I find the area of this triangle? Let's do the area of the triangle first. Remember that? So that would be the height of the triangle. Okay? So how do I find the area? Base times height divided by 2, correct? Now they do give you the base of this thing. They tell you it's 4. See this thing right here? I don't know why you guys are packing up because I'm doing like the most important thing right now. Okay? So they tell you the base of that is 4. So what is that? I'm sorry. That whole blue one is 4. What is it from here to here? It's 2. Okay? And then, you're just going to leave because the bell rang? All right, watch. What do I want to do? Find the height. How do I find the height? How do I find the red one? I do Pythagorean theorem, right? We'll call that h for height. So I go h squared plus 2 squared equals 3 squared. And so this is going to be h squared. This is a 9. This is a 4. So if I subtract 4 from 9, I get a 5. So what's h? Is equal to the square root of 5. How do I find the area of the triangle? I go base times height. The base is 4 times the height, which is the square root of 5, over 2. Okay? And then you put it into a calculator, and you get about 4.5. All right? So now, how do we find the white segment right there? We just go 6.1 minus 4.5, and that's going to give you 1.6. So this sector right there, or this segment, is 1.6. Turn your homework in before you leave, please. We're going to minus, yeah. Because we take the whole sector, right? The sector was 6.1. Take away the triangle, right? The triangle was 4.5, and you got what's left over. Okay, you see that? See, the whole thing, the whole sector was 6.1. Then we found the triangle, which was 4.5. So we take the triangle away from the sector. What's going to be left? That segment right there, which is going to be 1.6. Okay?